Husqvarna T535i XP because 535i wasn't mouthful enough. We put the XP. So we've been using this. I'm gonna take my glasses off so people can see. We've been using this for most of the season. My 450 was having some trouble. We needed a saw right away, and this is what they had as far as an option. So we went with it reluctantly because it's electric and we're just not used to electric, and there's not very many videos out there. Our experience has been pretty good. It's been very chainsaw-like. It has the power it needs to. It's just, like I'll explain in the performance part of this video, is that whenever there's a load on the chain, it won't go at all. You just go and pull the trigger and it just goes, you have to let it free, the chain free spin, and then go into the wood, and then it's fine. It has the power, it can do it. It can't do a whole bunch of bucking, it overheats. One time I tried to do a whole bunch of bucking on an ash, it just overheated, it didn't work at all. For about 10 feet, it just overheated and the battery died really quick. Speaking of the battery, the reader works quite well. It's after a while you learn it, and you can rely on the reader very accurately. And in the performance part, I talk about that more. It's really easy to take out. This is the larger of the two options. The larger, it gives us a lot of battery. We do large removals with it, and it gets us through most of them. Some of them we really have to reserve energy and use our 550 just to make sure we don't run out, but most large removals it gets us through. It stays in secure. Once it clicks in, I don't worry about it falling out. Haven't been worried at all about it falling out. And with the larger one, it gives you good balance. With the 14-inch bar, we put a 14-inch over the stock being, I believe, 12-inch. So yeah, it's pretty good balance with the 14-inch bar. I like it a lot more than the shorter one. It's actually easier on the saw because the tip of your bar isn't digging into the wood as much. And so because if you're cutting wood to about here most of the time, it's easier on the chain and the bar and everything and the load of the motor because the tip's not digging into the wood. I would face that all the time. It has a efficiency mode, which nobody ever uses ever. No reason to use it, just be efficient yourself is my suggestion. The button is really nice. If ever you just push it, it turns off. If you hold it, it'll turn on. So if you're worried about it being on and you could possibly hurt yourself, you just push the button. If you can't reach out to the bar when it's on your side or anything, the bar is really, really responsive and it just feels good. I really like that about this saw. I don't like the chain tensioner. It's kind of finicky. It's not like any of the other Husqvarna saws I've used. It's got a clickiness to it, and it just doesn't seem to just go as adjusted as I'd like, or as customizable as it has this click feel, and it just doesn't really want to go to the last one like I want. And so what I end up doing is I'll crank the screw over, and then I'll crank the bolt over, crank the screw over. I just felt another click there, and then crank the bolt over, and then it'll go tight like I want it to be. But if I just do it like I usually do saws, I just tension the screw and then the bolt and run it, it just doesn't stay tight. I have to do this back and forth thing. I don't like that very well. Another big problem that I've had with this saw is it just doesn't eject the material very well. It gets pretty gummed up pretty quick. It'll get entirely gummed up after a while. This is after just one tree. There's just stuff in it, and it gets all gummed up, and I don't like that. So cleaning it's a consistent thing that you just have to do more than other saws, and that's just the way it is. It's just not running as fast. It's not designed to spew it out like other saws that I'm more comfortable with. I don't really have much more other to say about that part of it. I am very picky about my clips. This is plastic. I don't know why we'd ever use plastic. I like steel. It's just so much more comforting, but it's a good shape. I like how Husqvarna makes it stick out and solid. It's not flopping all over the place. It's just, if it was steel, I could get it off of my Rock Exotica with one hand, and I will eventually swap it out with my own custom one like I did my 540. But it's still good. It still works. It's functional. So is it as good as my 540? Well, it's not as powerful and it's not as convenient in making really awkward and strange cuts on hardwood. I can't put a 16-inch bar on it and remove huge trees all day long, but it's well worth the money. It works very well for trim jobs. It works very well for small removals. It can even work good on large removals if you really know what you're doing. That's about all I got for it in this segment. But here's the demonstration of what this saw can do. One problem I have with it is when it's under a load, it won't start at all. So when you're in a tree and you're trying to do very specific wedges or different types of cuts, you don't have that kind of feel, that touch you have with like a 40cc gas saw. So it's just a difference. It's something that just doesn't feel the same, and so it'll feel very not right or wrong as a climber that's used to a traditional engine in a climbing saw. But it can do it. You just have to get used to holding the saw off and away. And one thing you'll notice is the ability to talk while the thing's still on. You can hear me even when the saw is on and ready to go, and it's not super loud even when I start to cut. Even so, I'm going to use my glasses. So yeah, I'm going to, we're moving this tree because it's uprooting here. I'm going to show you how it'll do on this red maple. All right, well, I think we're gonna have to pull it over. This is a segment I like to call the Chuck test. No, just kidding.